Wish I could have been here the day that it happened, just to see the gunshot in the tree and all the stuff that I learned through those 5 years to start piecing stuff together and start questioning things. I even asked during my trial, can I come here? Can we bring the jury here and let me show them proof? It's amazing to me to see that I can catch the police in so many lies right now just by standing here during the day. It's surreal. It's really surreal to know that I almost died right there. I'm glad I'm here. Definitely glad I'm here. There's a reason for everything. My name is Terry Rogaczewski. I'm born and raised in Los Angeles, California, San Fernando Valley. Grew up pretty much being an outdoor boy from the start. When a bird fell out of a tree, I was always the one that went and dealt with the sick and injured animals. So I've always had that caring mindset. Had a family that really showed me that caring for others, including animals, was the way to go through life. So started lifeguarding as in the ocean. So I went from animals to people, and then I went back to animals again, saving dolphins and whales along the California coast. Started working for SeaWorld for a while, and then started working on people again. Became an EMT, working on ambulances, and then eventually worked my way into the National Park Service and became a law enforcement park ranger. One of the highlights of my animal career was rescuing a 1-ton baby gray whale that was beached itself about 4 days after she was birthed by the mom. Somehow that was in Marina del Rey, California, and somehow they were separated for whatever reason. It took us 2 days to rescue her and take her down to SeaWorld in California, San Diego, and she was rehabilitated and released a year later. So that's probably one of my highlights of my career with animals. I've had a lot of letters written to me saying thank you for saving my daughter's life or saving my life, or I've even had, as a park ranger, somebody writing me a letter saying thank you for giving me a ticket. So I mean, I've dealt with a lot of people. I moved to Vegas to work at Lake Mead because I wanted to learn the law enforcement aspect of things. So when I moved here, thinking that I was going to get a job at Lake Mead, somebody higher up in that Oval Office cut the budget to the Park Service, and I actually lost that position at Lake Mead. So I applied to be a police officer at Nellis Air Force Base and was successful, and I was actually supposed to start the next day. That's when I took the Ambien.
Ambien came out when I first started working back in 1996. It was sort of a newer drug on the market. Prior to that, for our patients who were suffering with sleep issues, which was a majority of our patients, we were using some of the older school medications, which had a lot of negative side effects, and a lot of the wonderful things about them that helped people to rest through the full night were also causing them to not feel rested on the next day. So when Ambien came out on the market, it was sort of like considered like a miracle sleep aid. And Ambien is a derivative of a benzodiazepine, with some other chemicals mixed in with it as well. And that being said, it makes it a very dangerous drug for, number one, for reasons of becoming addicted to it. Benzodiazepines and derivatives of benzodiazepines are very addictive, very, very addictive. Just like alcohol, people who suffer from alcoholism, same type of issue you can have with Ambien. Professionally, some of the negative side effects, one of the biggest things is people sleepwalking. while they're on Ambien. And similar to sleepwalking in that they are having conversations and completing activities as if they were awake. So you, as an individual, if you didn't know that the person had taken a medication, would have no way of knowing that the person was actually not awake. They were actually sleepwalking. That's one of the number one side effects of Ambien.
After that, I just never really slept well at all. Like, I couldn't sleep at all. I had horrible nightmares, major PTSD. So I actually had been on Ambien for like almost 10 years. So that night, I took my one Zolpidem. I laid down about 8. Hadn't been drinking or anything. I was exhausted. And I literally woke up in handcuffs. I don't remember anything. My entire house was in shambles. My roommate called the cops while I had been kidnapped because of how badly the place was. Like, I left my garage door open. I never do that. You know, I'm really responsible. I owned a house at the time. I left a bath going and overflowing. I grabbed my dog, my boxer, got in my car. I apparently, from the police report, I hit another car. Don't remember that at all. It was a fender bender. Like, it was less than $1,000 worth of damage. I rear-ended somebody. So they wanted to throw me in jail. The criminal side, I actually set a precedent. Like, Jackie Kennedy and some other people actually used my case. Because I was one of the first people to get off with the Ambien defense. My lawyer was phenomenal. She literally gave the prosecutor like a stack, like 5 feet high of cases of this happening with people with Ambien.
I originally got prescribed Ambien after a motor vehicle accident, and I was having trouble sleeping because of the back pain. It was from a pain management doctor. There was one incident prior, probably about a year and a half prior to the incident, of me making a loaf of bread with peanut butter and jelly, stacked them up on the counter, and I went back to bed covered in peanut butter and jelly. I didn't eat them, no. I think my roommates did. I didn't know it was me. I didn't believe it was me, but I was covered in the peanut butter and jelly, so that's the only thing that... And I didn't even clue it to Ambien at that time. I mean, that wasn't even a thought. People who work long shifts and then have multiple days or multiple hours off the next day, you can get a good night's sleep and have time to recover. And that's one of the reasons why I took the medication, because of the fact that I worked shift work. And I was very excited to be going back to work. And the reason why I was so excited is because the next day was going to be play. You know, your orientation day is all play. Came home from the pool, from the celebrating, and took my Ambien. Actually, I took my Benadryl first because of the bite I had on my ankle, or the right below my ankle. I thought that would calm me down, get a good night's sleep, because I was pretty wired up. That didn't help, so that's when I took the Ambien. And the last thing I remember was watching Duck Dynasty. Stupid show, but I remember watching it. I remember waking up and having a severe pain in my left arm, my left shoulder, not being able to move my left arm. And it was kind of fuzzy because as you're coming out of the anesthesia, you know, you're looking around the room trying to figure out what it is. And I noticed a uniformed Metro officer sitting on the couch in the room. There was nurses and doctors. And I remember being told, and then I remember the chain on my leg. I was chained to the bed. I believe it was probably a day later when finally somebody would talk to me, and it was 2 detectives that walked in, and that's when I was told I was placed under arrest for 3 counts of attempted murder, two on the officers, several other charges for assault with a deadly weapon, discharging firearm, and then they told me what their version of the story was. They told me that the 2 officers responded to a shots fired call, and when the 2 officers arrived on scene, I fired at them 5 to 7 times, and that's why the officers had to return fire. And that was their story. And because there was so much time while I was under anesthesia, they had a lot more time to talk to family, friends, things like that. And I just recently had a friend that died of cancer. So they were thinking that I was depressed and that I was trying to commit suicide by cop. But I wanted to go out in a blaze of glory is actually what was the comment that the one detective said. It took basically a year at my preliminary trial to learn that I did not fire a single round at the officers. In fact, my gun was empty with a slide lock back by the time the officers even arrived. I did, however, fire my weapon that night into a car, a Cadillac, but my gun was empty by the time the officers even arrived.
No one was hurt.
No one was hurt.
Okay.
Except for me.